right, legends, we are back with another episode. Permission to flourish, stop beating yourself up. Have you got your copy yet? I hope that is a yes. And we're going to get Jay, who, without Jay, none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for Jay. Jay, good morning to you. What time is it?
Oh, it is, I believe, right now it's about 5 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, that sounds like too early o'clock to me, so we appreciate you. So we've got one of our favorite people, humans in the whole wide world. I call her legendary Lara. I'm not going to say too much. We're going to get Lara out here. Hey, Lara, how are you?
Hi, Dre. Hi, Jay. Nice to be here. Hope you're both doing well.
I am amazing.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for having me here.
No, thanks for being here. All right, Lara, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, cool. So I'm Lara Odushegun. I am a mindset and empowerment coach. And what I do is I help female leaders and aspiring leaders to help them to become the best version of themselves. Because I believe my passion basically is helping women in particular to really dig deep and find that power within themselves to create the life that we want. Because a lot of the women that I work with, they want to make an impact, they want to be a leader. But I always say that to be a leader, it starts from you. To make an impact, it starts from you. And a lot of the time, I find that, they have all these limiting beliefs or self-doubt or imposter syndrome, getting in the way of them going to that next level. And the thing is that they generally know that they're meant for more, but because of these blocks, sometimes they feel stuck and they're not clear on, the next steps to take. And what I do is I help them to remove those blocks so that they're able to step into that true power and they can elevate to the next level in their life, in their business, in their professional lives or careers as well.
All right, Laura. So in the UK, because we're both in the UK at the moment, it's 1:10, and I feel that I might have to call the fire brigade because you are just spitting some fire. Absolutely love it. So, Laura, why did you say yes to being a co-author? Because you are already an international bestseller. What made you say yes?
Okay, first of all, let me just take this chance and opportunity to say thank you to both of you, Dre and you, Jay. So one of the reasons why I wanted to be part of this particular book was because of both of you, so thank you for the opportunity to being a part of that. Because when you surround yourself with amazing people, you want to do amazing things and you want to push yourself as well. And it's, for me anyway, it's important who I surround myself with, and both of you are people that I look up to and people that I love to be around. So to be a part of that particular book was awesome. And also, like you mentioned, yes, I have been a co-author before, but I just found that writing, sharing your story to inspire other women, other people, it has some magic in it, not just for the people who I'm hoping are going to read the book, but for myself as well. Because, part of that process, it allows you, and the title of the book, I feel, is very apt because, it's that permission to flourish. And when you are writing your story, or when I was writing my story, I felt that I was giving myself that permission to flourish, because sometimes, when we have these stories in our head about things that's happened in our past or things like that, it does hold you back, right? And there was a sense of like, I didn't want everyone to know my story because, maybe I wasn't ready to share it, or maybe I didn't want to be judged. But by writing the story, it gave me the opportunity to just clear things out, and that was that permission that it was okay for me to write about these things. It was okay for other people to hear about these things, to read about these things. So it was a process of growth. And I just felt it was part of it is part of my evolving story. Because I feel like, growth is a never ending process, right? So it was part of my never ending process of releasing things that maybe it was still holding me back, and just allowing myself to express that without no shame, without nothing, but hoping that my story will be able to help somebody else, even if it was just one person.
Okay. Is it true that you used to be a computer programmer as well?
Sorry.
Is it true that you used to be a scientist and a computer programmer?
Yes, those feels like so many years ago. I mean, just very, very briefly, I have had like a very colorful career. So I started off in uni as a biomedical scientist, and I love, this is the thing about me. There's so many different parts to me, and I think that's like all of us. And for a long time, that was kind of like confusing for myself, because I have this logical part of me that I absolutely love. I also have this creative part of me that I absolutely love, but it was about mixing the two together. So like I said, I started off as a biomedical scientist, did a biomedical sciences degree. But during that process, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do for my life. And then I went into programming. And so I did programming for about 10 years. I climbed up that corporate ladder. One of my roles, not my first roles, I was promoted like within 6 months to team leader. And after that, I was promoted to support manager. So I really loved programming. Like I explained that, there is that logical part of me. But from ever since I was little, if I'm honest with you, I wasn't always sure what I wanted to be. I knew that I loved singing, but I wasn't quite sure that I wanted to be a singer per se. I also knew that I liked to help people, because, for example, like when I was in, was it year 10 or something like that? Not trying to toot my own horn, but I used to be pretty good at maths. And I always used to be able to help my fellow students with their maths, and sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, you should be a teacher. You're better than the teacher. You explain really well and things like that. But no disrespect, I was like, there ain't no way I'm going to be a teacher, because students, they could be pretty much of a handful. And I just felt like that wasn't really my calling. But I always knew that I wanted to help people in some way or some shape or some form. And so in the years of my programming, I realized that as much as I liked what I was doing, it wasn't really my passion. And also, like, as I grew in that role and I was more, part of the project management team and things like that, I realized that, being a programmer to a great extent, I felt like I was putting myself in a box, and I felt like that box wasn't for me. And I felt like I wanted to connect with more people, help more people, and along the line, and also parts of what happened in my own life journey, like my own self-love journey, I realized that I wanted to be a coach. And when that realization came, I did do straight away, like I started like a coaching course and things like that, but life happened and I kind of like put that on the side for a long time. So thinking of focusing on my children, thinking of focusing on my marriage at the time. But part of the reasons why I then reconnected back to coaching was because part of, without giving too much away, because some of it is in my story. So, I was in a toxic marriage, and I just felt like I was stuck, and I felt like I wasn't able to express myself as who I was. I felt like I was in a cage, and I didn't want to leave the marriage, because of my children, because I wanted things to work out. But in the end, cut a long story short, I knew that the pain of staying was more than that pain of me not knowing what I wanted to do going forward, or not wanting to leave, because I felt like, there was this new world out there that I was scared to put myself into. But anyway, to cut a long story short, I went through this whole journey of self-love, because part of what I realized was that in that marriage and in a lot of other areas of my life, I'd always been looking outside of myself for validation. I'd always been looking outside of myself for that self-love. And I was expecting it from other people because I didn't love myself. And that realization made me to go on my own journey of self-love. And along the way, it was coaching that helped me. So, and along the way, I realized that, the growth that I experienced, I wanted to help other women experience that as well. And it didn't necessarily have to be that, they were in a marriage that they felt stuck in. But, in all different areas of our lives, we always feel stuck in some way. We always have that fear of maybe moving forward, or feeling like we are stuck where we're at, or our past defines us, and that because of that we can't move forward. And so that's kind of like what made me decide that I really wanted other women who were struggling as well to be able to find their voice, to be able to find their power, to be able to find their truth, to be able to find their passion and move forward and, elevate to that next level and really be the person that they were called to be. Because, I believe that we are all unique and amazing masterpieces created by God. And sometimes we forget who we are. And it's a case of allowing ourselves to remember who we are and not feeling that fear of moving forward, not feeling that fear of stepping into who we are. And like the book says, giving ourselves that permission to flourish. Because I can speak from my experience, partly because of my lack of self-worth, my lack of all of this, I felt like I wasn't worthy of more. I felt like I wasn't worthy of success. I felt like I wasn't worthy of a lot of things. And until I started giving myself that permission, first of all, by remembering who I was, and second of all, knowing that even though I am enough as I am, there's nothing wrong with being more and keep on, becoming the better version of myself, the better version of myself.
Oh man, I've got so many questions, and because I've read your chapter a couple of times, and I could really relate to what you've been through. I don't want to give anything or too much away, but growing up, not knowing where you fit in, and the names that people called you, and the rise of your corporate career. I still can't see you as a scientist. I know that you're incredibly smart.
I'm a lady with many hats on, and I'm a lady with many hats on. Like I said, I really love that I've just allowed myself now just to be who I want to be in the moment. But ultimately, my calling is to help other women. But it's amazing how it sounds crazy, but I can actually still incorporate my science in this, and I can actually still incorporate my programming, the logical parts of it as well. And also those parts of my past has allowed me to appreciate my feminine as well. Because if I'm honest with you, part of my journey, I realized that I'd been a lot in my masculine energy. And that's not to say that I'm not a feminine woman, because I love my pinks. Even as a programmer, I do remember lots of people always used to be like, you look too girly to be a programmer, whatever that meant, so it wasn't like I wasn't a girly girl. I was, but I was always surrounded by lots of masculine energy anyway, because for example, in my first few roles, I was always the first programmer. I was always the only female programmer, sorry. And I remember when I became a team leader, not on purpose, but when it came for me to start being part of the recruitment process, all of a sudden we had a few more female programmers in the team. Not that was on purpose, but yeah. So what I was trying to say, why I share that, is because I come to appreciate, the balance of the feminine and the masculine energy. So I feel like I am able to tap into all aspects of that, because, one without the other does not help you 100%.
Yeah, I love that. All right, can you give us one tip or one secret from your chapter that people might be able to take away?
I think one tip I can give, and literally it's the name of my chapter, that the past does not have to define your future. And I think I've alluded to this before. But in saying that, it's about making a decision, because sometimes when we are scared to make a decision, we indirectly make a decision by not making a decision. And that in itself is a decision, right? So, and sometimes we are scared that we're going to make the wrong decision. And so what I have learned to a great extent is that there is never per se a wrong decision, right? The wrongest decision you can make is not making a decision, but let's put that aside. It's like whatever decision you make, it's about committing to that, right? And to a great extent, the decision is the goal. And then it doesn't mean that the journey towards the goal cannot change. And to a great extent, it doesn't even mean your decision can't change, right? But you have to start from somewhere. Because until you start moving, you're not going to be able to course correct. Until you start moving, you're not going to be able to know, was that decision the best decision for me. So as you start moving, and I always share this, that, so I don't know if I'm maybe mixing 3 tips into one, but it's not about, running the whole journey. Like sometimes it might be crawling, sometimes it might be walking, sometimes it might be hopping, sometimes it might be skipping, and sometimes it might be soaring. So there's, as long as we're moving, right? So it's to make that decision, commit to that decision, and majority of the time the decision never changes, but maybe the direction or the journey that you take to that decision might change, and that's okay. And even if the decision changes as well, that's okay, because of that first decision you made, right, helped you to get to that next decision, which might be more truer for you, but you wouldn't know that until you start. So there's no wrong or right way. It's about you making a decision, committing that decision, and taking small steps. And if you want to take bigger steps, and that's fine, but taking those small steps to begin with, and before you know it, the momentum will build. And then I can't hear you, Dre.
That's because I put myself on mute. I was saying that I think I'm seriously going to have to call the fire brigade because this is just absolute fire. So, Lara, what was the writing process like for you? I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier with some of the emotions that came up. How was that?
Well, first of all, like the process itself. So I have, like at school, I've always loved writing. I used to love English literature. So for a long time, I've always like wanted to write a book. But it's easier said than done. Just like, where do you start all of this? So part of the process, obviously, Jay being the leader, that process that we went through together as a group, that was amazing. So that really helped me to be able to, put pen to paper and write in a slightly, structured way. So first of all, that was amazing. Second of all, the writing process to begin was like, I don't know about the other writers, but first of all, it was like, what do I write? Have I got enough to write? Have I got something that's worthy of writing? That whole, you go through that whole thing. But then once you start writing, for me, I just found that it started just flowing. And and part of what I said before, the process was like, it was this like relief and this release of just being able to write it down, being able to share my story without feeling like, what's people going to say if they read it? So I think parts of the reasons, like maybe why I hadn't written before to a great extent, was like there was always still this thing about people might read it and judge it, or people might read it and think, this or that or the other. But it was just giving myself that permission to write from a space of, it doesn't matter, from a space of this might help somebody, and from a space of this is my story. Because, a lot of the time I feel like, and even like maybe in the story, I didn't share everything, but my story obviously intertwines with lots of different people. So, and I always felt like I can't share my story because it's not just my story. But then I'm like, well, it is my story. These are the journeys that I've been through. These are the things that I've been through. So I'm allowed to share that, in my way, in my own, the capacity that I can. So it was kind of like a joyful, but at the same time, still scary, but at the same time, amazing experience. So it was lots of emotions. But at the end of the day, when it was out, it was like that, like I said, that sense of, it's okay. And I've done it. And this is an amazing way for me to share what I feel like might help other people as well.
Oh, I love that. And then do you have any advice for, say if there's someone similar situation, they want to share their story, they're a bit apprehensive, they're sitting on the fence. Do you have any advice for people that want to get involved in a book project like this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, what I would love to say is that I think each and every one of us has at least one story inside of ourselves, right? And I feel like because we all have at least one story in us, that it is our, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh gosh, my brain's gone dead. But basically, it's our duty to share that story to the world, right? And also it's like you don't want to like go through that life and having that story just locked inside you without sharing it. So I feel like it's our duty to share that story, because we all have at least one, or I think a lot of us have even many, is more than one to share. And so if the reason that maybe they're sitting on the fence is because they feel like they have this fear of that they're going to be judged, or they have this fear of just, sharing their voice, because obviously they're not speaking, but your story is still part of you, still part of your voice. I would say that part of the process of healing, part of the process of growing is being able to release all of that. So it might feel scary, but part of that process will heal you, and part of that process will help you to feel that release. And it's sort of like a journey for yourself as well, because when you actually write the story, like when I was writing the story, it kind of like made me have more realizations, as in like what happened, it happened for a reason, or what happened, it was meant to be, or what happened, like where I am now, it I wouldn't be here if certain things hadn't happened. So I think it's all part of the journey. And so I would encourage them that, one, they're going to be in an amazing team with support, so whatever support that you need as part of the process, you'll get that support anyway. And then also you will grow as a person, and you'll feel really proud of yourself, And I feel like also, like, when I read my story at the end, like obviously we submitted and everything, when I read my story in the end, I was like, wow, like, wow, that's what I felt for myself. I was like, wow, that I was able to share that. And I feel like every person that goes through this process will be able to say that to themselves as well, that wow, like this is what my journey has been. And then you'll also be able to see that journey as well. 'Cause like sometimes when it's just in your head, it's different. But when you write it out and you read it out, it's a different process. And when you're able to see that, I feel like anybody will be able to see their growth. The fact that they're still here, whoever you are, wherever you've been through, the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're able to take a pen and paper and write your journey means that you're amazing, means that you're magnificent, means that you're all of these things, to be able to have that opportunity to share that story. And also I feel like, parts of what I've said before, you will be a light to somebody else. Because like, a lot of the times this is what I've learned from my coaching journey, from the clients that I've been able to work with, from other coaches I've been able to speak with, like sometimes, like whatever it is that we've been through, right? We always think it's just us. We always think it's only us. We're the only person who's been through that, right? But throughout this journey, I've learned that even if it's not the exact same story, because obviously we don't always have the exact same story, but sometimes we do. But even if it's not the exact same story, we share a lot of these experiences. And by knowing that you're not the only one who's been through this, that in itself is amazing. So you sharing your story, you're going to be that light to other people, for them to realize that they're not the only people that's been through this, So you sharing your story is not only going to help you, but it's going to help other people as well. And I think that in itself is something that you can be proud of.
Oh, beautifully said. So yeah, thank you. And how's the collaboration with other authors?
Yeah, so I was lucky to be in a group of amazing women and men. And so some of you I already knew already, some of you I didn't. So it was nice to, like I said, to be able to be a part of that whole journey. And to a great extent, like I said, have other people on that journey with you, sharing their stories. And, sometimes I'm not trying to downplay like my journey, because I think everybody's journey is their journey, but you hear other people's stories as well. And then you think, wow, similar to what I just said before, that, it's not just you that's been through this or been through that. And you just hear so many inspiring things. So it's inspired me, and it inspired me in writing my story, but it also inspired me that, we are just, as human beings, we are very powerful. And sometimes we just don't realize how powerful we are. So yeah, it was amazing to be able to be on the journey, not on my own, but with other amazing women and men. I have to
I
keep
love
on
that.
saying man because there was one man called Dre.
Yeah. What's the best way for people to get hold of you, contact you?
I would say the best way would be my Facebook page or LinkedIn. I love to say that I'm very lucky that my name is Lara Odushegun. I feel like I'm the only Lara Odushegun. So if you search for my name, Lara Odushegun, on LinkedIn or Lara Odushegun on Facebook, there will only be one person that comes. And I just say that because sometimes, like when I'm searching for some other people, like there's lots and lots of different names. I'm like, which one is it? But yeah, it's very easy to find me, Lara Odushegun on Facebook, Lara Odushegun on LinkedIn.
Awesome. All right. And last question, what's on the horizon for the rest of the year 2024?
Okay, cool. So for rest of 2024, first of all, it is Mental Health Awareness Month next month. And so I will be doing some workshops on mental health. So I'm an advocate of self-love. I'm an advocate of mental health because I think it's really important. In my previous roles, I've also worked with people with disability or people who've been struggling with mental health. So it's something that's quite important to me. And also I appreciate that as a whole, our mental health is vital in whatever it is that we're doing. So I've been approached by a previous company who I did a workshop for last year, and I'll be doing that again. And I'm looking to do some workshops for other companies as well, just to spread that awareness of mental health and just to know, help people how they can, release anxiety and things like that. So I'll be doing that next month. And I feel like I have got the writing bug. So I am looking to write my own book. Like I said before, like I've always wanted to write a book. And, this is what I was saying, that this process, really, I feel is a growth process in itself. So it's made me want to and choose to write a book. So I've started writing a book, which I will be releasing later on this year. So that is in the pipeline. So watch out for that. And yes, I'm also will be creating a new 12-week program for aspiring leaders and female leaders who want to elevate themselves to the next level of their life, release all those limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, self-doubt, lack of confidence, all the limiting beliefs that are holding them back to go to the next level that they know that they're meant for. So those are a few things that are in the pipeline.
I love that. Laura, you have been bringing the fire. It's been absolutely awesome. We love you to bits. And I'm going to pass over to Jay for the final words.
Laura, thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. It was so amazing. One thing that I want to take that I loved about your story, it was so, you thought it wasn't something, it was just an ordinary, it wasn't. Your story was so amazing to me. And one thing that I really liked about it is no more excuses. It's your time to shine. You have permission to thrive. And that is exactly what you are doing for so many women out there and so many leaders. So, Laura, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure working with you on this project. And I can't wait to see what you do for the rest of 2024.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Dre. Thank you so much, Jane. Like I said at the beginning, you guys are amazing, and what you guys are doing is amazing as well. And I was so happy and privileged to be a part of this particular book.